Puck taken away. Yanni Gourde to the counter. Maybe a breakaway. Gourde trying to come in alone. Shoot. Score! 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 Yanni Gourde! Yanni Gourde, baby! He wins it for the Lightning! 5-4 in overtime!
Taylor the shot. Redirected. Score! Game 7! Montez St. Louis! We are going back to Tampa Bay! Cavalier spinning. Cavalier looking. Trying to drop it off. Brings it in himself. Left it in the middle. Shot.
Welcome back to a new episode of Quick Strike. My name is Jake Ricker, and I'm here with my good friend Michael. Michael, how you doing today?
Good. I thought the Lightning played really, really well, and I can't wait to talk about it.
They played a great game. I think Lightning fans should be very happy with today's overall performance, and we'll get down into it in just a minute and start breaking it down. But I want to start off this episode. Normally we do our one positive, one negative towards the end of the episode, but I'm going to try starting off at the beginning with this one. So let's get right into it. Michael, what was your one positive and one negative from this game?
My one positive would be Carter Verhaeghe. He was coming in the lineup, his first ever Stanley Cup playoff game, and slotted in for Mitchell Stevens. Did a really, really good job on that fourth line. Ended up getting the primary assist on the game winner, the Victor Hedman goal. Overall, was a really good presence in the offensive zone, which is something that you need to see from your fifth liner. My negative, even though the penalty kill was really good, I got to go with the penalties. The penalties that they took, some of them were bad calls, some of them were bad to take. But overall, you just can't be taking that many penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. And my positive going off that is going to be the penalty kill. I thought the penalty kill did a tremendous job taking down those penalties, especially the 5-on-3, which was over a minute long too. So, that's a point there. We were worried, Columbus is going to get a goal. So great job by the penalty kill, keeping Columbus off the board and eventually, letting the Bolts take the lead in this game. And then my positive, I've got to go with Carter Verhaeghe too. I mean, he played such a great game. This is a kid who comes in, he's, didn't start the first two games. He's got something to prove, and he proved it. I mean, he really showed why he should be in the lineup. So, I think he really did make a big difference. So, I hate to repeat it, but I mean, I think it should be repeated because he really did play a great game. And of course, I'd love to know what all our listeners have to think, what your one positive and one your negative from this game was. So let's get into it. So starting off with the first period, obviously the penalties is the big thing coming from this one. The Lightning quickly went on the penalty kill, ended up on a 5-on-3. And, what was frustrating me about this was these calls were pretty weak calls. And I especially look at the one on Coleman, which was called a slash, and was the one that put them on a 5-on-3 penalty kill. I mean, it's the playoffs. If you're going to put your whistle away for the playoffs, you need to do that for every single game. I mean, this was not a good call.
Yeah, and, I've talked about how referees have done a terrible job beforehand, so I'll save that rant. But it was disheartening to see them, in the box. I didn't catch the first couple minutes, and then hearing about, there's a 5-on-3, and they're taking another penalty and another penalty. And I know the final stats didn't reflect this, but I thought Vasilevsky did a very good job on the penalty kill, at least, of making sure that Columbus, when they did get opportunities towards the net, because the defenders did a good job blocking shots, that he smothered them and made sure there were no rebounds.
Yeah, and they did a great job. They obviously killed off all three penalties. Columbus did have a couple of good chances on the 5-on-3, but at the end of the day, as long as the puck doesn't go into the back of the net, then you've done your job. So, and that was one positive from the game today, obviously, with them killing that off, and they were able to get a little bit of momentum. I mean, even though after the penalty kill, it still seemed like Columbus had, their foot on the gas there because they were running with the penalties and they, continued to get chances, but the Bolts did a good job defensively of shutting them down. And then we move into later in the first period, and the Lightning get a 2-on-1 chance. Killorn able to come on the right side and sneak one in. A great shot by Killorn, playoff Killorn showing up. So good job by the Bolts to, after being down on the penalty kill for so long to come back and get a goal in this one.
Yeah, and you look at the goals from the first 2 games of the series, I think someone laid them out like goal by goal, and they've been extremely lucky. And the Lightning, out of their 3 goals, had 2 pretty lucky ones today as well. The Killorn shot was supposed to be a pass. It reminded me of the Anthony Cirelli chance against Florida on opening night a couple of years ago, where he tried to pass it, and it just went off the skate and into the back of the net. So, we'll take what we can get, and luck has to be on your side, but also you need some skill as well, and we saw that skill later in the game.
Yeah, and then moving into the second period here, this was the period that I think all Bolts fans can look at and say, this is what we want to see moving forward in every game. I think this was basically your ideal period.
Yeah, they were awesome. I want to say that they only allowed Columbus 4 shots on net, which is huge. Of course, one of them happened to go in, which is not your ideal situation, tying the game at 1 on the pretty good shot by Rick Nash. I would have liked to see Vasilevsky maybe get a piece of it, but, to each his own. They won the game. I can't complain.
Right.
But overall, I thought their second period was awesome. I thought they generated a lot of chances. I thought the fact that Braden Point and Victor Hedman were both able to get on the board was a good thing to see. So I was really happy with the majority of the players. There are a couple of people I was unhappy with, but that was probably for later in the game.
And that's to be expected too. Obviously, you're going to have no perfect game, especially in the playoffs. You're going to have those situations. So, but yeah, consistent pressure was my big thing on this one. I was listening to this period on the radio, but the Bolts were constantly in the offensive zone putting on shots. And Korpisalo, who's been an amazing goaltender for Columbus throughout this series, continued to be that even in the second period. But the Lightning didn't let it get him down, and they just kept going at it, keep getting chances, and they eventually got rebounds and were able to put these ones home. And that was the big difference to me in this second period versus last game's second period, or just in game in general, is that the Lightning were able to put their chances home. When they got the opportunities, they put it in the back of the net. We saw last game when they had a couple of opportunities, the pucks would just go wide and they couldn't hit. They couldn't put the puck on the stick, and they were able to do that this time. So Point and Hedman goals were obviously huge, and the Bolts went up 3-1 heading into the third period in this one. So great job by them in the second period. I would love to see them do that again coming up here when we get towards the next game. But period number 3, this one started off, it almost scared you a little bit because Columbus got a quick one. It was a weird bounce. It hit a player in front, I believe, and then they were able to grab the rebound and put this one in. But I don't think too much Vasi could have done on this one.
No, and of course, it was someone that has never scored a Stanley Cup playoff goal before, Ethan Robinson. So, let's just give everybody their first career playoff goals, I guess. And there wasn't much Vasilevsky could have done. I want to blame Tyler Johnson, but I blamed Tyler Johnson too much already, because he did bat the puck directly onto the stick of Robinson when he was able to get it off for a second time and score. I don't feel like there was anything particularly wrong about that play. I know a lot of people were like, man, this is it. Here we go again. We're going to blow the lead. No, they played really, really well in the second. It didn't translate for the first 2 minutes of the third, but otherwise I thought they played fine in the third.
Yeah, and just off to that point, the Bolts have done a fantastic job this series at responding after they've been scored on. Generally, they've done a really good job at getting the puck back in the offensive zone and getting some offensive opportunities, which is huge, in these kinds of situations where momentum is key. So I think the Bolts have done a very good job at responding to goals. And speaking of Tyler Johnson, I know he's been getting a lot of hate. He struggled a little bit in this series, but there was a moment here in the third period. I thought he actually did a very excellent job. He kept the puck in the offensive zone multiple times and kept Columbus on their toes. So even though he hasn't been on the score sheet too much or has made a couple of costly mistakes, credit where credit is due. I think Johnson had a really good shift in this period.
Yeah, and it really helped that Cooper decided to mix up the lines as soon as the game was tied. He put Johnson with, I believe it was Point and Palat, and he put Kucherov with Cirelli and Killorn. I could be mistaken, it's been a long time since I saw those lines, but I thought overall, the line mixing worked. A lot of guys got chances. I thought Nikita Kucherov and Brayden Point were fantastic, and I thought Tyler Johnson in the third period, aside from that giveaway or that fluke accident, he was very, very good, and he kept fucking the offensive zone.
Yeah, and the Bolts would go on to win this one at the final score of 3-2. So a big win for them. They go up 2-1 in this series, and now we'll head into Game 4, which is going to be on Monday at 3. I think the pregame starts at around 2:30. So a big win for the Bolts. Obviously, nobody wants to go down 2-1 in any scenario, but it was nice to get that win, especially now that we're in the quote-unquote home games of Columbus. So it will be interesting to see if the Bolts can carry over this second period, late third period, or, second half of the first period, whichever part you want to take from this game into the next game here. So, but they played really good today, and I think Bolts fans have a lot to be happy about, which is very promising. One thing I do still think, there needs to be a change on is the power play. I know the Lightning didn't get too many chances on the power play, but power play just still hasn't seemed to find its groove. I mean, they have continued to struggle. They can't get too many great opportunities when normally, this is a team, especially with Stamkos, and obviously that's the big factor here, I think, still. They just can't seem to get good chances generated.
Yeah, missing Stamkos, maybe not in the top 12 when it comes to, rolling out lines, but you really miss him when you're up a man and you're trying to score on a power play.
Yeah.
Because as I said last time, again, full respect to Tyler Johnson. He had a great game. Nobody's scared of Tyler Johnson in the circle. And Kucherov doesn't like to shoot from the circle on the other side. So you've got either Mikhail Sergachev on the top of the point, or you've got someone like Maroon or Brayden Point or Andre Palat in the slot area to tip the puck home. That's two options. With Stamkos, you now have four, because Kucherov can thread the needle or he can shoot the puck. With Johnson, he's less inclined to pass the puck, and he just doesn't shoot it anyway. So, it would be really, really nice to get Stamkos back, not only for the power play, but for the team chemistry. I know that he has been with them in Toronto. I think that helps them a lot. That boosts their morale. But I just want to see him on the ice again.
Oh, absolutely. I think every Bolts fan's right there with you on that one. And Johnson, too, is also, I think, a guy that plays better in front of the net. We've seen him score a lot of his goals in front of the net. I believe his one goal that he had in this series was in front of the net as well. So, that's where he plays best. And I think that's usually where he ends up when he's on that second power play unit. So, obviously, anytime you move a guy into a different position, they're going to struggle a little bit. But very solid game from the Bolts today. Vasi played well. Everybody played well. I was very happy with it. Good to go up 2-1. Michael, anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, I thought it was a good game all around. And keep Carter Verhaeghe in the lineup because he looked really good.
I would be surprised if he comes out of the lineup. I think he's definitely earned his spot. He played really hard, and hopefully we can see him continue that. So that's all we have for you guys today. We hope you all enjoyed. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you don't miss out on more content like this. Check out our description for all the affiliated links and links to our website, social media pages, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to leave a comment on what you would like to see us talk about next. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, go Bolts, and we will talk to you in the next one.